Back when I was in high school, I used to be this quiet, shy, reserved kid. I was awkward, extremely anxious, only talking to a couple of people, not very popular, but deep down I wanted to be like the extroverts. I used to put them on a pedestal. Extroverts were my ideal I visualized them as the ideal from the social perspective. So I started working on that. I started improving my social skills and I studied a lot of tips and tricks of how to be more confident and seem more charismatic and funny and all of those things. But what I failed to realize back then was that I was feeling a void within. And in my pursuit of trying to fill that void with something, I thought that the social skills and improving my social life in general would get me there. But what it did is it only temporarily filled that void. Where once I got used to my new lifestyle, to being more expressive indeed, having a better social experience indeed, having more friends, okay. But when I got used to that, the whole returned. Because it was just like let's take an example with this. Passing this through. And for me, my accommodation period to the new lifestyle was this moment. But then when I got accommodated, when I got used to it, this happened, and the hole is still there. The hole was never filled in the first place. It was just an illusion. So I didn't really understand what the issue is back then, but thankfully I finished high school and the pandemic came and I was saved because I didn't have to talk to people anymore. I didn't have this struggle because there was no possibility for me to go ahead and talk to people in the first place. I just had to be inside all the time. Now, during the pandemic, I was just a complete loser. I was playing video games and being lazy, doing nothing productive whatsoever. But as the pandemic came, it also passed. And once it passed, I returned to university, meeting new people, new experiences. I was not really used to socializing anymore. I had extreme social anxiety. So it wasn't really a very good experience for me. I was pretty lost, I could say. But the years passed somehow. Thankfully, I believe I only had like 1 year. Yeah, there was 1 year after the pandemic until the point where I found the next thing that was supposed to fill my void, which was self-improvement. I started getting into a lot of good habits and I implemented them successfully, definitely, in the hopes that they would fill that void within. So self-improvement is a very broad niche, you could say. And as you can probably imagine, I tried to into a lot of those things that self-improvement contains. So I lost a lot of weight, I gained some muscle, I got a job, I got more productive, my mental health improved, I improved my social skills even more. But then guess what happened? I felt fulfilled for a while because that void was filled. But after a while, I just got used to my new lifestyle. And for example, before being fit was something fantastic for me, but now it just became the norm. Talking to people was fantastic back then, but after I got used to it, it was just the norm. So I just realized that it's a very weird and absurd and awkward situation. Thankfully, there are a lot of philosophers who talked about this already, the absurdity of life. And there even is a branch of philosophy that's called absurdism. I really suggest you to look into that as well because it's really eye-opening to how the world is so simple yet so complicated at the same time. Look into the work of Albert Camus if you're interested in this. But anyway, enough with the philosophy talks. After I got used to the self-improvement lifestyle, I thankfully stumbled across the concept of letting go and of Taoism, you could say. Taoism is this philosophy where you have to let things flow, let things happen. And what I realized, and this was a huge breakthrough for me, is that by default and me personally at least, I'm a very logical person. I tend to push things as much as I can. I tend to force things and I want to have a tight grasp on everything because I want to be in control. And for me, this idea of letting things happen was always so weird. I never really had faith in it. But when I really took some courage to try it out, I realized that at least in the social domain, it's the only right way. Letting things happen and allowing yourself to flow is the only right way to have nice social experience. Any other way is wrong. Trying to please the other persons, trying to talk about their interests is wrong. Doing, approaching certain interactions with the intention to attract another person, wrong. Trying to please yourself, wrong. If you're trying, you're already on the wrong path, because the only right path is being, flowing, being congruent in your behavior, basically. And unfortunately, when you have self-doubt and when your subconscious doesn't really believe that you are good enough, that you are cool enough, that you are charismatic, it's very hard to be like that. But even like that, even in this state, I still think it's better for you to embrace everything, to let yourself flow, instead of just forcing yourself to seem more charismatic than you are, to seem cooler than you are. Because when you try to do that, you enter the needy energy. And when you are needy, you are just repelling to everyone else. And there is nothing you can do about it. Being needy leaks through every pore of your body, through every atom that is within you. And the only way for you to not seem needy, to not seem repelling, is if you're yourself. So I just realized that a whole new universe opened up to me when I realized that I can just let things happen in so many areas of my life. And when I let go of the tight grasp I previously had, I realized that not only things don't crash upon me, but maybe they even happen. Some of them even happen in a better way, and I achieve them even easier and healthier than before, and with lower effort. Now, there are certainly some areas of life where you can't do this, where you need more control, but as I said, when we are talking about social skills and interacting with people, bonding, the only way is the authentic way, the way that's congruent to you, and the way where you are flowing. When you're in a flow state, you don't need much else. And if you are like me and are pursuing this way of implementing social skills and, watching Charisma on Command maybe, or reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, those things are good, but those things must, and the only right way is if you implement them after you already managed to be congruent in your behavior and authentic and flow. Because you trying to implement social skills while you're overthinking and while there is that voice inside of your mind that's bullying you, it's just like you're trying to run a marathon with a weighted vest and you try to optimize for being more aerodynamic and stuff like that. It's counterintuitive, it's stupid, and it does you nothing, basically. The version of you that masters social skills to perfection is way inferior to the version of you that knows nothing about social skills but is just flowing. Because you probably know a lot about social skills already. But let me tell you something, the baby version of you is more charismatic than you currently are. Let that sink in. You need to take something that you previously had. You need to take some aspects from the baby, unfiltered version of you and implement them in your life right now. And that's the advice that I was seeking all along, even from the early days of childhood, when I tried to improve my social skills. It all came down to that. I hope I kind of managed to convince you, at least, and save you years of useless pursuits.